clips. I'm talking to my coworker, one of my employees. He's a Zoomer, so he's like 23, and it's like every fucking time I talk to him, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, how have you not like been run over in the street? You're like a child. I'm talking to him, and he starts talking to me about like, oh man, I saw this fucked up video. Like, it was a guy, and we were talking about like fucked up foods or something like that. And he starts like, oh man, I saw this fucked up video. It's of a guy, and he's like in a restaurant, and there's a monkey, and it's alive.
Faces of Death?
Shut the fuck up. You're ruining the punchline. So he starts talking to me about this, and he's like, oh, and the guy's eating the monkey's brain while the monkey's still alive. And I go, yeah, that's Faces of Death. And he goes, what? I'm like dead on. I'm like, I have never seen Faces of Death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need to. But I'm like, I'll see it eventually. But I'm like, no, dude, that's Faces of Death. He's like, what? I don't like. No, it's Faces of Death. Like that's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized like that like the cultural divide between us two, because like Faces of Death was like a legendary film.
Yeah.
Amongst my, I mean, not everybody knows what that is.
Middle
but amongst
school,
my
like,
generation,
everybody was talking about like this is the realest thing in the world, and like if you see it, it will blow your mind.
I mean, I think I remember. I probably heard about it for the first time in like grade school, because like I remember like somebody had a cooler older brother and like told me. Like, legendarily.
Somebody's parents don't give a shit.
Yeah, legendarily, somebody's cooler older brother. Which is how the only way you could get that movie, apparently, for years, is just, like,
you
on the
gotta show
grapevine.
that you're an older brother at the video store.
Oh, okay, my bad. They bring you by the other beaded curtain. Yeah, so, no, it was like, as I was talking to him, like, yeah, no, it's Faces of Death, and he had never heard of it before. And so I was like telling him, like, okay, yeah, Faces of Death is this exploitation movie that is partially, like, it's a fake documentary that is partially repurposed, like, documentary footage, but partially repurposed, like, news footage that's extreme, and then it's intercut with fake stuff, and that's one of the fake things. And then I got to also have the pleasure of, I'm glad you, Cruz, this is why we're fucking locked in, because, like, you called it from, like, audible from across the fucking, this is what, like, I also then got to explain to him the Conan O'Brien sketch, Muppet Faces of Death. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, so now you just have like a whole world opened up to you of dumb bullshit. And